What if I told you that improving your willpower had nothing to do with your motivation or mental toughness? Would you believe me if I said that I could 10x your willpower and discipline in 20 minutes just by making a few changes to your environment and daily routine? Well, in this episode of the Student Performance Podcast, we are diving deep into the science and application of willpower to help you get more work done in less amount of time. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Student Performance Podcast, where we dive deep into the science of concepts you never knew had such a big impact on your well-being as a student. My mission is not only to transform your life in the classroom, but help you live a more fulfilled life outside of it as well. All right, everyone. In this episode, I'm going to show you how you can put yourself in situations to optimize your work efficiency. I'll be overviewing the highly controversial science of willpower and then show you research-backed techniques to be more disciplined and productive for free. So if you're excited about this episode, please hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening on. So something I forgot to mention in the first 2 episodes of the podcast is that I format the information in these episodes so that it builds on each other. I want you to understand exactly how the science ties into the actionable steps I give you so you can fully believe in the techniques. But if the science part of this podcast isn't really your thing, that's totally cool. Feel free to navigate the podcast as you wish, or just jump straight to the part where I show you the 5 research-backed ways to improve your willpower. I have everything timestamped in the description to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. With that being said, let's talk about which part of your brain is responsible for your willpower, and that would be the anterior cingulate cortex, or the ACC. This part of your brain is very unique because it's one of the only areas that has connections to your prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of decision making, and your limbic system, which is in charge of your emotions. The ACC is responsible for your empathy, impulse control, emotion, and decision making. It watches for what you are doing and what you intend to do. So the ACC is responsible for the most prominent and also highly debated theory of willpower, which is called ego depletion. I like to think of ego depletion as your willpower phone battery. As long as you are well rested when you wake up, you start at 100%. However, every tough decision you make throughout the day causes your willpower battery to go down little by little. So that might be not pushing snooze and getting up, or going to class even though the professor talks like a robot. Or maybe you're at work and dealt with a bad customer and had to resist the temptation of telling them off. All these little things deplete your willpower, making it harder to control your emotions later on in the day. It's why a lot of unhappy couples fight after a long day of work. They spent all of their willpower at their job, making it harder to control their emotions when they come home. Or have you ever noticed that when you go to a grocery store, they put all the candy by the register? It's because they know you have decision fatigue after picking out all of your groceries and have depleted your willpower, which makes you more tempted to buy that candy bar. Ego depletion was based on a group of experiments performed by Roy Baumeister in the 1990s. The researchers split participants into 2 groups and sat them down at a table where there was a bowl of chocolate chip cookies and a bowl of radishes. One group was told that they could eat the chocolate chip cookies, while the other group was told that they could eat the radishes but had to resist the cookies. Afterwards, groups were given a puzzle which, unknowns to them, was unsolvable. The group that ate the radishes and resisted the cookies gave up on the impossible puzzle after an average of 8 minutes, compared to the group that was allowed to eat the cookies, which gave up on an average of 21 minutes. Baumeister attributed the time difference to the radishes group willpower being depleted after having to resist the chocolate chip cookie temptation. Now, the reason why there's a lot of debate in the scientific community about this is because these experiments were performed in the 1990s and scientists have had a lot of trouble replicating these results. Carol Dweck is a Stanford psychologist and wrote the best-selling book Mindset, and she performed a study that found that people's willpower only depleted if they believed in the ego depletion concept. The The participants who didn't believe that willpower was a finite resource didn't see the depletion effects. Now, personally, I think there's a lot of good evidence for both sides of the argument, but regardless, I'm a big proponent of getting your most difficult tasks done right when you wake up, when we don't allow ourselves the time to procrastinate. We just get up, don't think, and work. This most difficult task will be different for everyone listening to this, but for a majority of you guys, this should be your independent study time. Or maybe you aren't in school, but are trying to lose weight. Get your workout done right away so there's less chance for you to blow it off later on in the day. Think of this as the task that is most important for your future, but doesn't have the urgency of having a deadline. This is the reason that putting yourself in the right environment to be productive is the biggest advice I can ever give you. Having your phone right next to you when you study, regardless if it's off, is a prime example of this. When your phone is next to you, it feels like it's staring right at you, urging you to pick it up and check Instagram. You're a good student, so you make the decision to resist that urge. But as we talked about, resisting a temptation actually depletes your willpower. So regardless if you check your phone or not, your willpower goes down. So when we are studying or want to get some work done, it is crucial for you to put your phone in another room and to have it off. So there's no opportunity for you to pick it up and have it distract you. Phones aren't the only thing that distract us. Make a mental checklist of things that distract you and put yourself in an environment where you won't have to resist the urge to stay focused. Whether that's your phone, notifications on your computer, or people who want your attention. It's all about putting yourself in a situation that makes it easiest for you to stay focused. This seems simple, but is very hard to implement in real life. It takes a little time to get used to. You'll feel phone withdrawals and feel a little bit disconnected, but that will soon wear off and you'll be able to get into the zone a whole lot more quickly. Researchers at UC Irvine found that on average, it takes 21 minutes to become fully focused and perform at our peak productivity. Many people call this the flow state. But if you're constantly being distracted while you're working, you'll never get to this state and it will take you almost twice as long to complete a task. So eliminating distractions will be the number one way that you can improve your willpower. But let's talk about 5 more. The first and most overlooked is to make sure you are rewarding yourself. I think so many times we get caught up in the grind and we forget why we are working so hard in the first place. So many people forget the whole point of being productive is that you can enjoy the free time that you've earned. For example, if you scheduled out time to study or work on an assignment and got through it distraction-free, give yourself a small reward at the end of the day. This is very important. We don't want to watch Netflix or play video games in the middle of the day because that will deplete our willpower. Rather, save it for when you're finished for the day so you can enjoy your reward without having to go back to work. If you're in college, set specific goals during the week that you want to hit. That could be hours studies, assignments done, or hours volunteered. If you hit those goals, then go out with your friends and enjoy your social life. This is so important. When I was at UCSB, Thursdays were college nights, and I didn't want to miss these. So I would front load my week to make sure I made up for the work I missed on Thursday nights and Friday mornings when I knew I wouldn't be feeling too hot. There's nothing better than partying and not feeling the guilt of being behind in your classes. The second tip is to get some help from a friend. Have them be your study and accountability partner. There are so many times we take a hard class and we think we're the only one who's having a difficult time with the material. This can be very discouraging and will actually cause you to study less. That's why getting together with a classmate to study, especially when you have little motivation to do it, can make all the difference. The social aspect of learning is so important for our mood and motivation. This was missing when we were at Zoom University, and I want you to be the one to bring it back into your routine. However, make sure that you guys are actually studying, not just talking and hanging out. You might have to go through several study partners until you find the right one that has a similar mentality. The American Society of Training and Development performed a study on accountability and found that you have a 65% chance of completing a goal if you publicly told it to someone else. And that percentage increased to 95% if you added an accountability partner. The third tip is to make sure you are fueling yourself correctly, especially when you wake up. We deprived ourselves of food and water for hopefully 8 hours when we were sleeping, so it's really important, especially if we tend to struggle with motivation, to replenish ourselves when we wake up. That means drinking a large glass of water and eating a protein-filled breakfast so you can steady your blood sugar. Don't eat a Pop-Tart or Frosted Flakes because that will cause your blood sugar to spike and then crash. Eat something you enjoy. For me, I usually rotate between healthy cereal, oatmeal, and eggs with a piece of fruit. Researchers found that students who ate breakfast in the morning learned more and misbehaved less, showing more willpower. You have to remember that our brain is a muscle too. When we're studying, we are working it out very hard and need the proper fuel to function. I know we're all used to putting cheap gas in our car, especially with gas prices nowadays, but our brain deserves premium. The fourth tip to improve your willpower is to tidy up your study area. This is a weird one, but based in science. In one experiment, researchers asked participants questions in 2 different settings. The first was in a lab that was squeaky clean, while the other group answered questions in a messy lab. When the participants were given the option to choose between healthy snacks or candy, the group that answered questions in the neat lab had more self-control and chose a healthy snack compared to the messy lab group. Another study found that students were more persistent when trying to solve a hard puzzle when they were sitting at a neat desk compared to a messy one. I'm not telling you to clean your room, but just focus on your workspace. So if you have 1,000,000 papers on your desk, clean it up. Remember the old saying, a cluttered home equals a cluttered mind, or something like that. The last tip is to exercise regularly. I did a whole episode on exercise, so please go back into the podcast archive and check that one out. But exercise is one of the few things that we can do to constantly see improvement of our willpower. We have to be diligent about tracking our workouts though. That could be improving our mile time or lifting more on our squats or bench press. Each time we make a minor improvement, whether that's 1 second faster or 1 pound stronger, we are digging deep and challenging our willpower reserves. We're actually resisting the temptation of giving up and suffering through the pain to improve our health. That statement right there is the epitome of improving our willpower. David Goggins calls it callousing our mind, not giving up at the first sign of adversity. If you can learn to get yourself in a state when you're comfortable being uncomfortable while working out, you'll gain the confidence to know that you'll be able to get through anything, no matter the obstacle. Now, I want to give you some specific things to focus on depending where you're at in your academic career. High school students, I really want you to work on limiting your distractions until the end of the day. To be honest, the 3 things, well, I guess 4, I cared about in high school were baseball, girls, Call of Duty, and getting good grades. And you can have all the above. Just make sure you're getting your work done first. I know it's tempting to hop on your PS5 right when you get home from school, but it would be much easier if you ate a snack and then did your homework first and then hang out with your friends in person or online afterwards. College students, something I know it's very distracting is studying in your dorm room or apartment. It's loud and your roommates might not have the same priorities as you do. That's why I would suggest that you always study somewhere outside of your home. Remember, you need to put yourself in a situation where the only thing possible for you to do is to study. Think about it. When we procrastinate, we don't just stare at the wall, we replace a productive habit with an unproductive one. Being home brings in too many distracting variables into play. Remember, use your social life as a reward. Tell yourself, if I get 2 hours of studying done today, then I can go out for pizza and beer with my friends, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The biggest problem with graduate students is they have too many things to do and they don't even know where to start. They're always stressed out and have no plan. This is horrible for your mental capacity because it fills your working memory with anxiety, which leaves no room to muster up the motivation to start. This causes you to procrastinate, which stresses you out even more. If you find yourself in this situation, stop what you're doing and make a list of all the things you need to complete. Then rank this list from the most important to the least important. After that, look at the hours you are awake and schedule in when you're going to make progress on your to-do list. This will give you a great starting point. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies when it comes to our willpower. This will give you a concrete action plan to be productive. For all you who are working and are not in school, learn to prioritize your time before work. This is time you have to yourself while no one is awake and bothering you. I want you to make small progress on a meaningful goal you have for yourself. Whether that's a passion project, side hustle, or fitness goal, this is when you'll actually have time and willpower to act on it. These are goals that are meaningful to you in the big picture, but aren't necessarily urgent or have deadlines. Before you go to bed, write down a small action item you could do when you wake up to make a sliver of progress on one of your goals. Because the truth is, we don't have the external motivation to do it after a long day of work when you are tired and just want to lay on the couch and watch TV. Okay, so for the last segment, as always, we are going to be answering one of your guys' questions. So follow us on social media at Student Performance Pod for your chance to be featured on an episode. The question comes from Manu from Argentina, and he asks, how can I gain willpower to get up early and study and won't lose motivation to do it every day? So this is the question I get probably every single day. So first we have to reframe our mindset about waking up early. People who wake up early don't feel motivated to do it. They formed a habit and it's part of their daily routine. To be honest, I can't sleep past 6 a.m. even if I went to bed at 2 a.m. It's ingrained in my biology because I've been doing it for so long. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, from a willpower perspective, is that we need to put ourselves in a situation where the only possible thing to do is to go to bed. That means turning off your phone and having nothing distract you from your sleep. It's not going to happen overnight, literally. Try going to bed an hour earlier each week so your body can get used to the change in your circadian rhythm. You need to do this 3 weeks straight, including weekends, for your body to get in a solid routine. When you wake up, go outside for a walk so the sunlight can reset your circadian rhythm and get some protein in your system so your body is fueled and ready to study. All right? If you have any more questions about improving your willpower, feel free, put in the comments down below or send me a DM on Instagram. Check out the previous 2 episodes I did on exercise and sleep as they are essential for your willpower. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.